Have you ever wondered what happened? Why did these real estate prices all of a sudden go absolutely bonkers? Well, in this video today, I'm going to actually show you what happened with C19 and specifically the money injection that happened and the percentage amount of money that came in and actually how that inflated real estate prices. And I'm going to show you what they should have been without C and what they actually are. And then in the end, I'm actually going to show you what you can do about it to help save your skin in this crazy real estate market. Let's get into it. So the first thing that we got to understand here is what happened during C19. Now, between 2020 and 2021, the Federal Reserve injected $4.6 trillion, trillion with a T, into the economy. Now, they did this in different ways. They did this with stimulus checks. They did it with PPP loans, did it with enhanced unemployment benefits, state and local governments and aid. They had child tax credits, business and industry specific like bailouts. So what all of this was really, it's printing of money, right? So 40%, that equates to about 40%. That $4.6 trillion equates to 40% of the dollars that ever have been created in the history of man were created during that time. Well, it's called the M money supply. What is the M2 money supply? This is actually the physical cash that's out there. It's checking deposits, it's saving accounts, and it's all that money that's circulating around in the economy. The M2 money supply in 2020 was 15.5 trillion. By the end of 22, it went up to 21.7 trillion with a T. This was the most aggressive expansion of M2 in US history. Basically, that was a lot of cheap capital, because remember, those interest rates were incredibly low. Those were down, they had it ZIRP interest rates, which is zero interest. It really just supercharged asset prices. Remember, Bitcoin went crazy. The real estate market went crazy. Equity markets, stocks, and everything went parabolic. Now, what happens with the aftermath? Well, what goes up must come down kind of thing. Let's rewind it to 2019.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
This is a thought experiment, all right? On average, real estate appreciates between like 3 and 5% a year. It gradually goes up over time, right? 3 to 5%. So what did we do? We took the average price in 2019 and we projected it forward to 2024. Think of this like as like if just COVID never happened. Let's break it down here for the Southeast Florida area. So 2019, the average price per square foot was $191 per square foot for a single family home. Now the projected at 4% over from 2019 to 2025, it went up to 232. So if it just at 4% went from 191 to 232, what it is actually right now is $318 a square foot, right? So at a 4% appreciation, it was meant to be $232 a square foot. And we're doing some guerrilla math here, but 4% would take us to that 232. We're at 319. What does that mean for a 2,000 square foot home? For that square footage price would be $462,920. What is actually a 2,000 square foot home right now on average? It's $636,000. So that's $171,000 difference. That's about 40%. See where I'm going with this? So that 40% was M2 injected, went into real estate. That's why real estate went up so much. Let's look a little bit at St. Lucie County here. St. Lucie County, as of 2019, the average price per square foot was $107 a square foot. Now, in 2024, projected would be $130 a square foot. Now, what is it actually? It's $229 in St. Lucie County there. And so that's up $100 a square foot from all of that injected money, that M2. What would that mean for a 2,000 square foot home? As of 2019, that would have been $260,000. Very affordable. for someone to go up there to St. Lucie County and buy a single family home. 260,000, very, very affordable, even at the high interest rates that we have right now. Well, what is it right now? It's $458,000 for that 2,000 square foot home in St. Lucie County. It's creating an unaffordability situation. 2019, that would have been $179 a square foot in 2019. That's what it was. All right. 2024 at a 4% increase, it's $217 a square foot. Well, what is it actually? It's $307 on average price per square foot for that single family home in Indian River County. The projected value for 2024 would be $435,000. Well, actually, it's $614,000. So that's a distortion or a difference of $178,000. Let's move on to Palm Beach County. This is the one that had the biggest distortion. We had 2019 prices. The price per square foot was $156 a square foot. Now, projected for 2024 at a 4% appreciation, it would be $189 a square foot at that 4% appreciation over that short period of time. Let's take a 2,000 square foot home at the projected, that would be $379,000 that it would have been at the 4% appreciation. What is it right now? $96,000. $196,000. Think about that. That is a significant distortion.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Now, why is Palm Beach County more than St. Lucie, Indian River, and Martin? My theory is that you have a lot of people moving from California and especially New York, because we're getting a financial hub that's happening down there in Boca. But again, that's a big distortion of 516,000. So what is the moral of the story? When people have extra money, they put it into things like equities, they put it into things like crypto, and they put it into things like single family homes. At least I hope I made a decent case for where we're at, why we're at. The big question that we get a lot is this going to crash? What is going to happen next? I think that we're seeing in the condo market, we're seeing things drop. If you watch any of my data stuff, I do a lot of videos on what is the market doing, and specifically in the condo market, and especially on the beach with these properties that had the Surfside collapse and the engineering things that they need and the insurance going up, taxes going up. The second homes, which are typically condos, that has started to drop. The other properties, single family homes, they haven't really dropped. They've kind of just stayed level. And that's what I mean by the prices are still sticking. I still do believe that you're getting population growth that's coming down here to Florida. So I think that's going to shore up prices. We do have a lot of more inventory now, but people are not dumping their properties. I still see institutional ownership happening. You have a lot of like the BlackRocks out there that are owning rental properties and so forth. They're not going to sell these assets. So I see the institutional money kind of sticking around. I also see potentially we're seeing a trickle in of institutional money buying some of these properties that are getting a little distressed. I'll leave you on this. Inflation doesn't reverse. It kind of plateaus. Deflation is when you have, a drop in the stock market. We just had this with the tariff stuff and that kind of thing. We certainly had these drops, but it bounces back big time. Real estate doesn't have a tendency to drop really precipitously unless you have an event like the Great Financial Crisis and, a bunch of people were upside down on their properties and they were just ready to walk away. Is this the new normal? Maybe. It actually really isn't a new normal. This has been happening for a while. It's just been escalating. During the Great Financial Crisis, I don't know if anybody remembers what the bailout was. Do you remember what the bailout was? It was $800 billion. Like $800 billion was a really big deal in 2008. What can you do? I know it's tough. I know that right now the food costs more, taxes are more, insurance is more. It seems like everything is more. My whole thing here is the only way to get on that bus of inflation where whatever it is that you own goes up is to either own real estate or equities or crypto or whatever that is that will actually move up with that inflation. I think having your home be that place to save you against inflation is the best place for most people to start, at least. Buy a house, figure out a way to buy some property. I know the interest rates are high, they're going to come down. I know that taxes are high, but rent is going to continue to go up just like everything else. So the only way to save yourself from this continued monetary expansion is to buy assets. So I hope you found this valuable. I thought this was a really cool thought experiment. It's something I've been thinking about for a while. Hey, if you like this content, drop a like below. And if you like more content like this, drop me a line, drop me a comment. We'll see you on the next video.